Welcome to the Bring Two Controllers podcast. My name is Alex, and I am joined by David. How you doing, Dave?
Oh, I'm doing great, like usual, living the dream, and I'm with my best friend, so couldn't be better.
We're
How are you
really
doing?
starting it off on a kind of a sappy note. I'm doing okay. I'm getting over a bad cold right now, so that's kind of
Right,
unfortunate. But I'm going to try to raise the energy for this podcast, and then I can
raise
go
it
back.
through the roof.
Yeah, I'll go back to being a zombie after this. But anyway, so we're going to be talking this week mostly about the Game Awards, which just happened, less than a week ago for us, and we'll talk about some other gaming stuff that's coming up with us as well. But the main focus will be on the Game Awards, which you watched, right?
I watched it. Yeah, I missed the first little bit of it when it was live, but then I caught the rest of it, and I think I caught most of what people say is the best parts. Especially I saw the end, the very
Right.
last little bit. I don't
And
know.
so I'm 100% catching up. And funnily enough, I was supposed to be coaching and not available to watch it at all. And then I ended up getting really sick. So I was actually home for the entire Game Awards, but wasn't doing so well. So I didn't even
Right,
watch anime. I wasn't watching anything. So I had
right.
to do some catching up. I had to watch some videos, lots of trailers to watch, lots of
Yeah,
things to read up on. So before we get into the Game Awards, let's talk about our gaming this week. What we've been up to, what we've
right.
been playing, any new things that we bought, or any notable gaming items.
Yeah, so this is, I think, going to be a consistent segment for us where we kind of review the week before and we kind of talk about what might be fun for the next week. You want me to start, Alex?
Please be my guest.
So last week, I didn't do too much new stuff. I did finally start Resident Evil 3, the remake. Me and my other friend have been kind of chugging through the first two. And we're kind of having a blast. So we're like a couple hours into into the third one. It's really good. A lot of people say it's the worst one, but so far, I don't know. I think they're crazy. You know what? Sometimes you see people like these huge fan bases, and they just go all out saying like this is the worst one because they changed like one or two things.
Mhm.
Like they added a dodge, and they said that ruined Resident Evil. I'm like, what the hell? I like the dodge. I can dodge
You
zombies
need
now.
to
It's
sit
great.
there and take damage like you're supposed to, like they intended.
And then otherwise, I didn't get too much, but I did. This just actually came in the mail today, so I got. Hold on,
Oh,
hopefully it pops up.
Pathfinder.
So this is the pawn. So Alex and I, if you guys don't know, Alex and I play D&D together, and we all kind of rotate who's the dungeon master, who's the DM. But sometimes when I play, I like to have like little figures, but I don't want to have all like the miniatures. So I got this set here, which is like the NPC pawn collection. And it just has like a ton of different NPCs, like barmaids, innkeepers, and they just come in these little. Let's see if. Oops,
You
my
went
green
right to the
screen's coming up.
barmaids, huh? Is that the first page you
Well,
opened
that's
up?
that's the first place I.
You
Well,
bought
every D and D
and like
campaign
correct me
starts
if
with the
I'm
tavern.
like please correct me if I'm wrong, but you bought the Bardmaid edition, so it's like
Yeah,
90,
let me
90
see. You know
barmaid
what?
miniatures and then like 10 other ones that you can use maybe if you
Now that I've mentioned it, oh yeah, let's see. Let's find this barmaid. It says she's the
um
innkeeper, but look at these donkeys. The
wow,
donkeys.
it's a little blurry, but you know what? I think we're going to leave that to our viewers' imagination. And
Imagination.
if you happen to be listening to the audio version, which is unlikely at the start on episode 1, but someone one day comes back to this, you can just imagine the donkeys.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple hundred in here. It's got guards, it's got different types of clerics and all like the different races, like priests in every different kind of race. Got like kids, like blacksmith, like all this kind of stuff. So I feel like it's gonna be a good little
Did
addition.
and you said they have kids.
Yeah, well, actually, I think they're technically
Tieflings?
halflings.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if
that
we
makes
if we
sense.
get to a scenario where I need a kid, I'm just gonna pop out
You're going to
the
use a
the
halfling,
halflings.
as you should. Yeah. That's cool. And that's going to be different because when I DM, I like to do the full imagination style, as it's
Yeah,
easy on me, but I also think it keeps people engaged because they have to be actively working at it, but that also can be
yeah,
a challenge as well. So cool. I'm excited to play,
yeah,
man. I really am.
yeah. What the thing I like about the pawns and stuff like that is I like the kind of like, it kind of turns it into when there's a combat or something, it turns it into like a little bit like Final Fantasy Tactics or like Fire Emblem
Yes.
or something like that. So it's like it's kind of a fun little
Yeah,
tactile
well,
thing.
like or Final Fantasy Tactics is literally D&D. It's you take a movement,
Yeah,
you have an action, and then your turn's over. Like that's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Should
What
I?
about you?
Yeah, I
What
should
have you
move
been
on to
playing?
my
Any
news.
new hordes?
Yeah, so I'm playing mobile games, of course. So I'm not going to really go into that, but I am playing Triangle Strategy right now, which I know
Oh,
people probably beat at this point, but I've been a little bit late. I borrowed it from my brother after he beat it, and so I'm having a ton of fun. And I
nice.
think the combat's awesome. The story is super engaging. It's definitely worth playing. But the pacing is. Have you played it, by the way?
Not yet. I've only played the demo, which I loved.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, even the demo, you would have seen this. The pacing is like you finish a mission, a combat mission, and they're
right.
like, hey, here's 3 optional stories to view, and there's going to be another like 2 to 3 scenes of story to click through, and then you'll
Yeah.
get to your next fight. And by the way, we've unlocked like one farming stage for you. And if you want to level up a character that you haven't used yet, you're going to have to run it like, like 5 times. And it's the exact same
Oh, so
stage. And
you can redo stages.
well, they're not even kind of like they basically are like trainings. They're like training from memory stages, and you're playing like on a previous map that you've done, but it's different enemies and different objectives. But it's the same thing, right? And
Okay.
it's kind of like in Final Fantasy Tactics, I had to go around a world map to randomly get into a battle, and there was all these diverse maps, and it made sense that I was there. And because it's just like, hey, pick a training mission from a menu, it's a I don't know, it's a little bit different. I'm not loving that part, and I'm not loving how sometimes like one time I only had I think 45 minutes to play that day, and the whole thing was taken up with cutscenes, and I never played a stage, and I was like,
A
yeah,
single
this.
battle.
And it's funny because I play War of the Visions, which is a mobile strategy game where the game plays itself. But at least
Right.
when I want to level up my characters, the game plays itself. And then, maybe I've just been tainted by mobile games, but it's not as fun to play a farming stage to like level up my characters over and over manually when I've been playing a
Right.
game that does it automatically. But all that stuff, really small details, loving the game. It's been fantastic.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
You're playing it on the Switch.
I'm playing on the Switch, and I've actually been playing it. I played it on my TV once, and then otherwise I played it exclusively handheld, and I actually prefer
Nice.
it that way. I know for most games I prefer TV, but this game specifically, for some reason, I actually like to have it right up in my hands. So
Nice. Do you play it like on the couch or like while you're like also on YouTube or something like that?
no, it's usually actually on my bed.
Oh,
Gaming
nice.
in bed, yeah, and I kind of just get all cozy and chug
Awesome.
some water and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then since we're a little bit on the topic of RPGs, I haven't played it yet, but it is on Game Pass. It just came out this week, and the reviews are like through the roof of this new indie JRPG. Have you heard of the Chained Echoes?
I have heard of it because I'm on Reddit slash or r slash JRPG, and it's like every
Okay.
second post is a Chained Echo post. And also I've just seen it. People are tweeting about it. People are making videos about it. I actually watched a no commentary playthrough just to see
Oh,
like what's the music like, what's the combat like. It was only 16 hours. The person played it start to finish without doing any side quest content. So
and they
apparently
beat it in
there's
16 hours?
yeah, which was kind of a but then when you like
Oh,
it's an indie game, and this is just what I read. I don't know if this is this for a fact, but it's made by one person. It's like a Stardew Valley
no
type
way.
thing, like one single
Like
person.
I'm not making a face because I don't think 16 hours is enough. Like actually I prefer shorter games that are more concise. But just like all the other reviews and everything I've heard, they were saying it takes like 30 to 40 hours. Like, the one I bring
Yeah.
up sometimes, David Vince. I asked him on his like channel after he reviewed it, and he said he rushed through it for the review and it took him like 30 plus hours.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, this video is just like it's just Chained Echoes no commentary playthrough up on YouTube right now. You can go check it out. But I really think he said he literally didn't do a single extra thing. It's probably like, I guess like a speed run. A game comes out and you speed run it. But anyway, yeah,
Damn.
people are saying this is like, like a successor to Chrono Trigger, and it like kind of looks like it. I mean, when you watch one of the trailers, they literally have someone use a sword skill, which is the Cyclone skill from Chrono Trigger, which is so classic. Right. It's like the first art or tech that you learn with Chrono, and it's in there. So, that's no accident. Sick. That's for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to jump on that after I finish FF6. I'm near the end of FF6. I've been playing it like on my lunch breaks at work.
That's super exciting. So what point specifically are you at right now?
I just finished the Cultist Tower.
Oh, with all the chanting and there's all the people like kind of like blocking the road.
But so I loved it on the way up, but I didn't realize until after I beat the end boss of that area, the cult leader or whatever, that you can't use a teleport stone or teleport out. And I used up all my mana, and I forgot to teach, like the guys that were in my party at the moment didn't have Osmose. So I was like low on MP. I kept like TPKing. Then I had to like, I don't know, it was really frustrating, but then I finally got out.
Nice. Okay.
So and then I just got Death Gaze. Yeah, I beat Death Gaze. I have like Bahamut. I have like all the major summons. I think there's like 3 dragons I have left to kill. And then I just got to go and level up my guys to fight Kefka.
Now, have you got any like secret characters yet?
I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there are some blank spots on my sheet. So, okay. And I actually haven't found Gao yet. Actually, like I found him the original time, but I haven't refound him like in the World of Ruins.
Okay, yeah. So you've got some stuff to do. Are you using a guide, or are you just going blind?
I'm going for it, but then using a guide like when I'm like kind of stuck, or usually like once I get to an area, I'll like scan through a guide to make sure like I won't skip an item or something like that. But then I try
things.
Yeah. Especially these older games, like you can get really screwed if you skip something and you're like, oh my god, I can only beat this boss if I have Ultima or something like that. Or
yeah, and if someone's listening that has played this game, they're gonna probably comment about the floating continent and whether you did something or not.
Oh, to get Gao? Or to get I
Shadow.
Guess we've already spoiled a lot. I got Shadow back. I got Shadow.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Awesome. So what else is releasing this week, by the way? Because there's some very
cool. For the rest of this week, and then also another game I didn't review it too much, but the Dragon Quest Treasure Hunters came out last week too.
Yeah, and it looks really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably wait till it's on sale, but that does seem like another good kind of like mobile game. Not mobile, but like get on your Switch or like Steam Deck kind of game. Just dick around kind of.
I mean, I love anything Dragon Quest.
I know that's like your jam. I mean, you have lots of jams, but
yeah.
And then this week, the biggest release is probably going to be FF7 Crisis Core Remastered. And the reviews for that one have been pretty good, like from the early access reviews that I've heard. They've made like some decent improvements. Some people are unhappy that they revoiced Zack, like they used the Final Fantasy VII remake Zack as opposed to the old one.
Well,
and they're saying his delivery is not as good.
My brother and your buddy is very upset about that.
Very
upset. I get
Tom, or am I allowed to name drop or?
Yeah, well, his name is Jack.
Oh, the other brother. Okay.
Yeah, and Jack rhymes with Zach, so you can see why he'd be offended by it.
Okay.
No, but to be fair, the original Zach actor did a really good job. Like
he did do a good job, yeah.
And that's.
But I guess they're trying to consolidate everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they changed
like
Cloud's voice actor for the remake too, because they had.
You mean the Advent Children Cloud?
Yeah, and they had used him, I think, again, maybe in Kingdom Hearts. There's like many places that Cloud's been voiced. He's been voiced in Dissidia as well.
I actually like the remake Cloud, to be honest with you. I like all the voice actors in that one.
The voice acting is excellent in the remake. And this Zack voice actor seems talented as well. I will say from everything I've watched, don't think it's as good as the original. But it's not bad. It's not like he's doing a good job. Have you been
watching like a walkthrough of that or something, or just like from trailers and stuff?
And then the occasional like review video and stuff. So I played the original on PSP, and I played it all the way through, and I loved it. It was kind of wonky on like any sort of game like that on the PSP. was kind of limited by
Hard to play.
the actual piece of hardware that you're playing it on. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest appeal of this game. Plus the story is really cool. But I'm not in a rush to play it because I've already played it once. I'm just going to go ahead and wait for it to come out on sale.
Same. I'm in the same boat, but I like that you're finally getting it on like a proper controller with like 2 shoulder buttons,
Yes.
or I should say 4, a right stick, like a menu button, all these different things. So it'll probably be big. And then another thing, which I'm probably a little bit more excited about than you, is if I get in. Otherwise, the next week's podcast, I'm going to be flaming Capcom.
Yeah.
But Street Fighter 6 is having their closed beta 2. I didn't get into the first one. I'm not a big enough streamer, apparently.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me, right?
Hugely bizarre. Hugely bizarre. But this time, first one was just on PC. Then this one's going to be on, I think, everything. I'm not sure if crossplay is going to be enabled for the beta, but I'm hoping it is, just to see what it's like. To play on like against people on like PS1, Xbox One versus like the new Series X and PS5 plus like PC.
Wait,
but I'm pretty excited for that one.
I'm getting an email.
Oh my god!
Holy guac!
Don't even joke about this.
No, I got in. I got into closed beta too.
Oh
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they saw my coverage. They saw my coverage of War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and they thought, oh, we need to grab some of that pie. We need to serve up some Final Fantasy fans into our Street Fighter. Let's get Miss City on this one. Let's do it. And
you know what? I'm happy for you, but next week I'm flaming Capcom.
I'm swamped. I'm probably not even gonna play it, to be honest with you. I mean, can I be honest with you?
I am.
Is Dan in it? I'll play it if Dan is in it.
Dan was one of the last DLC characters for Street Fighter V.
Well, I think people would riot without him, right?
Yeah, well, he also almost wasn't in Street Fighter V, and then they fired, or I guess he stepped down. But the director for Street Fighter 4 and 5, they got rid of him and they replaced him with like a new visionary. And then the last season of Street Fighter 5 was like more open. They added like new mechanics to make it like more fun. And so they're kind of trying to ride that into Street Fighter 6 with the new like art style and everything like that. So I wouldn't be shocked if Dan is in it eventually.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone that I know that plays fighting games is super excited for this game. Like I've heard about it. It's
really
many people
nice.
on my Facebook and Twitter. I've seen posting about it and tweeting about it. So I think it's going to be exciting to see, what people say about the beta.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this is finally like one of the games that kind of makes it more noob friendly, because they're adding like a proper like campaign, like an open world campaign.
Kind of like what Dragon Ball Fighter Z was for a lot of fighting.
So well, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, the campaign was okay, but it was kind of like a typical fighting game campaign where it's just like cutscene, fight, cutscene, fight, cutscene, fight. Whereas the Street Fighter 6 one is actually like make a character, you go to the open world, and then you go to like the different dojos and you learn from like the different like actual in-game characters, their moves. Then you can like challenge others, like level up, all this kind of stuff. And then the other thing that they're doing is they're making like easy combos, which is actually what Dragon Ball FighterZ did too. Like you can just mash square or mash triangle or whatever to get them move.
For people like me.
Yeah. And then I think they're also making like easy special moves as well. So like you don't, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, if you wanted to do like a Kamehameha, you still had to do like the down, forward, and then the button in order to get it out. Whereas I think in Street Fighter 6 they have an option like a newer, or I don't know what they're calling it, but like an easier mode and like a old school mode, classic mode, where you can, it's kind of like Super Smash Bros, where you just press like forward plus special button, down plus special button, left plus special button, up plus special button to get like your main
So do you think,
so they're learning?
Yeah. And this is like semi related, but do you think playing all these fighting games that you've played has made you a stronger fighter in real life?
Yeah, probably. Like, I mean, I can do Hadokens IRL now.
That's good stuff.
I won't do it on camera because I don't want to ruin my monitor.
Of course.
Easily could.
with the Game Awards last week, there were games that were announced that people didn't know were coming, or maybe they knew that maybe something was coming, but now they're officially announced. We know that they exist for sure because we saw a bunch of trailers. And so we're going to kind of rattle through each of these. And the first one, I think, is the one that I'm really excited about, which is Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. And this trailer started off so slow. I was like, what's even going on? Why did they even put that first 30 seconds in? Like, it didn't mean anything.
That's what you thought? Oh, because okay, so from like my perspective, having played like Elden Ring and like played a couple Dark Souls game, as soon as they showed that part of the trailer, I'm like, oh shit, this is a Miyazaki game. Like, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be like gritty, it's gonna be grotesque, and then I didn't actually expect that it was gonna be Armored Core until obviously the robots popped out. But
so
yeah, I like that little you're talking about like that sun thing at the beginning, right?
Yeah, what the heck was that?
It's just standard Elden Ring in space.
I love mechs, and Armored Core has like a bunch of customization and a lot of depth, and it's pretty dark, so this should be pretty exciting. I'm definitely excited to learn more about it. I hope that we get more information ASAP.
Yeah, and that one is supposed to come out next year, right? I think at the end of the trailer they said 2023.
Yeah, not too far. So it's
which I was shocked. I was shocked that they got that out so fast because Elden Ring took forever, and that's like I loved that, and that's just open world Dark Souls. Like there's no. And I don't think they made a new engine or anything.
They probably had the B team on Elden Ring and the A team working on Armored Core this whole time.
If that's the case, man, that's nuts.
Okay, so what's the next game they announced?
Hades 2. So I didn't actually play Hades 1, but obviously like that was like super duper popular, and I watched gameplay, and I know lots of people that played it and just loved it. I'm just not super into the like roguelikes where you like go back and you reset and stuff like that. But apparently the story is supposed to be really, really good. And I think this one is set with like new characters and everything like that.
I really liked the trailer and the fight between like the witches, and the genre always looks cool to me. That isometric top down view, and like makes me just think Diablo. But I haven't actually played Hades 1 yet, so bury me in the comments because from my understanding, it's a very good game that most people have played, and I'm very much on the outs on that one. So, I'll have to go back and play.
And you know what the worst part is? It's been on Game Pass for years. I could just easily download it. It's even on like the cloud thing, so I could literally just open it on my phone without downloading anything to play. And I've just been too. You know, it's like one of those things you put off so long that it's just like becomes like a part of your personality to never do it.
Yeah, that's it's called pathological demand avoidance. I think you have an issue.
Oh wow! Hey, is that your master's talking?
Yeah. So the next game was Judas.
What'd you think of that one?
Well, I mean, isn't it pretty much BioShock? It's
yeah, with like a slightly different, I guess, flair, but I guess it is like basically just like
it's made
BioShock.
It's made by the same people, right?
I do really like the art style for it.
Yeah.
And I haven't played the newer. I mean, I know it's been a while since the most recent one, but I think I only played the first two. Like, I just played the Xbox 360 BioShocks.
Right.
But I remember they were good and like creepy, and I like creepy like adventure games.
I mean, it's interesting because like half the things on this list are creepy. Like the popular type of genre is creepy and post-apocalyptic, zombie horror, monster-y type of things. Like that just seems to be the most popular one of those, like combination of those things as a game. And I actually, for the most part, don't like that genre or setting or aesthetic at all. And like Hades is kind of like that. Not really, actually. I guess Hades is different. But Judas, Death Stranding has some creepy stuff.
Death Stranding is definitely like a post-apocalyptic for sure.
Remnant 2, which we're going to talk about later, is like that.
Right.
and then even After Us has elements of that, which we'll talk about at the end. So, and yeah, I don't know, I can't get on board with that. But it just, these games continuously come out, so it must be a very popular way to frame your game.
Yeah.
uh
And then next up we have Death Stranding 2. So I didn't know what the frick this was the first like 30 seconds of the trailer, but then they started showing like babies and stuff. I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Wait, did you play one?
I didn't play one. I do want to, but I didn't want to play it on PS4 at the time, because apparently the load times were a little bit long. So I was waiting for it to come to PC, and then it
Right.
finally came to PC. But I just haven't gotten around to it.
I still don't know what
But
it is.
it is on my list. Sorry?
I still don't know what it is. Like, what even
Have you
is
ever watched like walkthroughs of it or anything like that?
No, I just hear it's a walking simulator.
It's kind of the case. It's like open world Metal Gear Solid, but instead of a gear, it's a baby, and instead of like Solid Snake, it's a mailman.
Right. I hear you do a lot of delivering. Anyway, the first part of this trailer was actually very suspenseful, as the person was kind of like evading this light that someone was wearing on their headlamp. And then after that point, I was just so confused. And there was the ship, and there was the little tentacles, and then there was the guitar guy that like takes the mask off at the end, and you're like, what is going on? Certainly very intriguing, and I bet ultra intriguing for people that played number one. But either way, it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I feel like what's his name, Hideo Kojima. I feel like he just takes ideas, puts them in a hat, and then just like one after the other, he'll just like okay, this is in my game now, and this is in my game now.
well, it's like, I think it's like the manatees in the South Park Family Guy
In the
episode.
South Park Family Guy, yeah, totally.
Okay. Next up is Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon, and the aesthetic for this game is really cool. I thought it looked really, really dope. I've never played Bayonetta before, so I don't really care about her origins, but the game does look good, and Bayonetta is very popular, so I think people are going to be pretty pumped about this one.
Yeah. At first I wasn't like on board with the aesthetic, but then it kind of like grew on me a little bit as the trailer went on, and now I like really dig it. I'm just like re-looking at it now.
Yeah,
it actually looks really good.
The voice acting sounded great. Hopefully they're all being paid enough.
Yeah, well,
I don't even know where
we'll see who's telling the truth there.
Right, exactly. I don't even know where that ended up, so I probably shouldn't. But then after that, we had Hellboy: Web of Weird, and I just didn't see enough to have any opinion on it. I didn't love that.
I'm the same. The only thing we can really judge it off of is the IP and the art style, I guess. And it's like this like cell shaded kind of cartoon, like not cartoony, I would say, more like comic booky, which is I guess true to form. So I guess people who are like diehard Hellboy fans.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like Hellboy's design.
Yeah, I guess he's a little like lanky now that I'm like rewatching it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks pretty unenthused that he's there.
And his face is just so flat. Yeah, we'll see. I'm assuming this is either going to be a Game Pass game.
Yeah.
Or like I probably won't end up playing it if I'm being perfectly honest.
What about the celebrity simulator? That's the next one.
Crime Boss. Oh, did I miss that one?
Crime Boss, Rocky City.
Oh, this one. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that are in it. Like a lot of voice actors that are like prominent actors.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have too much of an opinion on this one. I think it's just going to be another one of those GTA ones type. Where, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how popular it's going to be, to be honest. Like, is there a lot of hype behind this one?
I don't know. I've never heard of anything about it, but the amount of people they put in it, they got to be, they got to be expecting they're going to make some money off of this game.
Yeah, that's true. Who made it again? From In-Game Studios. Never even heard of them.
Yeah. Okay, and then Remnant 2, I already kind of referenced that it's this, it's kind of a mix of is it a third person shooter or first? It's a person shooter,
I think third person shooter.
but also there's
Um,
bows and there's melee, and it's like Dark Souls mixed with like maybe, I guess, Bloodborne and other things, and then it's in this kind of like horrific world where there's these really weird monsters and enemies and all sorts of strange stuff's happening. All right, we've got Dave back after a small crash. And Dave, what do you think about Remnant 2?
yeah, so like I was saying before, I didn't play the first one, but I was actually like always on the cusp of wanting to get it. It does look fun. From like everything I've heard before, people say that it looks really good. Let me just turn my light back on here. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I'll probably, I don't know if it'll be a day one for me. Does it have co-op? I don't remember.
I don't know, but I just can't get into the aesthetic of this game at all. The
Really?
the weirdness and the horror aspects. It's not. I'm
Right.
pretty basic, Dave. I'm a basic gamer. I want my fantasy games and some sci-fi games for sure, some modern games, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the kind of like horror-y type stuff, but as
Yeah.
you can see, I'm in a haunted village right now.
Right, of course, yeah. Okay, well, so what about Immortals of Aeum?
Yeah, this one I don't have too much of an opinion on. I kind of just like watched the trailer and I was just kind of like, meh.
I'm
I
not
don't
into
know.
superhero games.
Yeah, in general, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I watched it and then like maybe 5 seconds after I saw it, my brain erased it from my memory.
Right. And then the final one was After Us, which is kind of funny. I said, "Oh, I don't like this kind of like horror type thing," but this one was different. It's like a girl with the power to kind of bring life to things, and she's coming into our world after humans have ruined it. And you see these kind of grotesque humans chasing her. It's kind of like Titans from Attack on Titan, if you think about it that way. And like there's
Right.
this big skeleton of like a dachshund, and she's able to release its spirit, and you see it all like happy flying away. And
Yeah.
all of that was actually kind of intriguing to me for some weird reason. However, it had like inexcusably bad graphics. Like, holy crap, this game looked terrible.
Okay, so I'll say this. I think the graphic like fidelity is not the best, but I like the art style actually quite a lot. I like the colors.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna
looking
go
at it
with
right
that.
now. Like for example, it's like showing that scene of like the dolphins and there's like the grass and when she's running like when she's like sliding down those
Mm-hmm.
what's it called, like pipes or whatever. It's not actually a pipe, but whatever. She's like rail hopping. I thought it looked really good, but you're right. The actual like fidelity is like quite low. It looks almost like it could run on like an Xbox 360 or something like that,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know. It doesn't look like it's this gen or the next gen either, right?
or 2 gens ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Other
so
than it being HD.
yes. We're through all the new games that were announced. The last thing I think we're going to talk about, well, maybe second to last, is just some release dates that came up. And I don't think we have to talk about all of these. We'll just maybe we'll take turns picking ones that are interesting to us. And I kind of want to start with Final Fantasy 16, if that's all right with you.
I'm not really a Final Fantasy fan, so
Okay, well, let's
just
end
not
the
talk about it.
podcast. Final Fantasy 16 is coming out in June 2023, but also we found out
Yes.
that it's also going to be an exclusive for only 6 months. So
Yes.
starting on December 31st, 2023, so basically January 1st, 2024, the game can release on other platforms. So obviously
Yeah.
it will come out on PC, right?
PC.
And that's
I don't have
huge.
faith it'll come out on Xbox, to be honest with you. It's been 3 years since 7 remake and they still haven't released it on Xbox, but I do think they're going to release it like pretty close to January on PC.
Here's the biggest question. Will it run on the Steam Deck? Because
I think so. I think it will. Because FF7 remake. I mean, I know the 16 is going to be a jump up from
Hmm.
7 remake, but 7 remake runs really nice on Steam Deck. I actually got it on sale during the Black Friday week, and just to get it on PC. And it runs really good. Like actually, I'm running it like pretty flawless, like 60 FPS. Sometimes if there's a lot of stuff going on, it drops down to 45 FPS. But I feel like if a gamer is happy running at like 720p, like 30 FPS playing it, I think they can. I think that's doable on Steam Deck. Depends on how it's optimized though, because sometimes
Right.
Square Enix makes like pretty bad PC ports, and it'll need
Yeah.
like fan patches and stuff like that. But I think it'll run. I think it'll run.
Because I mean, with this 6 month um, exclusivity period, I'm pretty much like I'm gonna jump ship on buying a PS5. I think like.
You think
Why?
you're gonna get the PS5? I might wait.
No,
I might wait
I'm
the
not
six
going.
months.
Like I'm jumping ship. I'm not going to buy it anymore. I don't. What's the
Oh,
point
you're
of?
off. You're jumping off the ship.
Yeah. What's the point of buying a PS5? Like they're
Yeah,
super expensive and you can't find them anywhere in Canada unless you want the digital version, and then you have to pay like $900 and like there's no way.
yeah. I've seen it from time to time. I almost pulled the trigger like 2 months ago or something like that. It was on at Best Buy over in like Surrey, and I was
Right.
like, but it was right after they increased the price too. I don't know if you
Mm,
saw that they increased the price by like 25 bucks Canadian, and it was the digital only
monsters.
version or it wasn't digital only, but it was the one that bundles with Horizon.
Right.
Which, like, fair enough. Like, some people love Horizon. I thought the first one was cool, but I got bored of it because I played it right after playing Breath of the Wild,
Hmm.
and there's just like so many restrictions on like climbing, and like, in Breath of the Wild or the new Assassin's Creeds or Ghost of Tsushima, you can climb anything you can see, right? There's
Right.
no like,
Yeah.
oh, this rock specifically you're not allowed to because we didn't want you to.
Back to the
Whereas
old
they have
days.
that in Horizon, and I've seen that they have that again in the new one, which is why I'm kind of like not super keen on playing it right away
Hmm.
because I like being able to not
Yeah.
be on rails all the time in those kinds of like adventure platformers. So then I didn't end up pulling the trigger, and I'm glad, especially now finding out that it's only 6 months,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to get a new
Exactly.
computer pretty soon too. So
Nice. Yeah.
no
So
more crashing mid podcast.
So we got a new trailer for Final Fantasy 16, and that's where we got
Yes.
this release date from. And it had some new combat scenes. It showed like the party system in kind of in work. It showed us Torgal, the dog, who's obviously part of our video version of this podcast. And
Right.
then it did what Square Enix loves to do. It just spoiled a ton of stuff. Like just a bunch of stuff they didn't need to tell us. Like they had kind of
Yeah.
like hinted that Clive might be Ifrit, and then they just showed it to be true, and I didn't love it because I wanted to find out for myself if he was going to be. And seems like there's a second Ifrit, and maybe it's like he's not fully in control of it, whatever. But then they also showed like more like two more dominants. They showed kind of like maybe an important thing that happens later on with Joshua, and like, oh, I don't know, like I don't want to see that much story ahead of time. I would rather
Yeah.
there be more left to our imagination, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I think they just wanted it to be like really epic. Um, and to be honest with you, when I watched that trailer, I wasn't like hyper analyzing it. I was just like, you
Yeah,
know,
it's a good trailer. It's a good trailer.
I was just watching all the animations and all this kind of stuff. I think the combat, again, we don't have like a proper combat video to say like, okay, this is how you do
Right.
this, this is how you do that. You're kind of like inferring through the cinematics and stuff. Not cinematics, but from the trailers.
And it looks
But it
good.
looks really flashy, looks fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty stoked. I liked how now that they showed that you're gonna have your party, like it won't just be like a lone adventure the whole game. Like a lot of people were kind of worried. Um,
And it's funny because so the composer Soken has said, like, oh, I'm gonna do different types of songs, very different songs from Final Fantasy 14, which he's just makes like some of the best music for.
dude, he
And
makes bangers.
uh, and I like that's all fine, but every single song from every trailer has sounded exactly like it's a Final Fantasy 14 song, and that is not a complaint. Okay,
Not a complaint.
not a complaint, but just saying everything sounds so much like a Final Fantasy 14 song. I almost feel like I'm watching a Final Fantasy 14 trailer, but that's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Even actually, some of the cinematography almost feels like a Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 14 trailer
Like a
or
trailer, yeah.
cinematic or something.
There's
like the way they film it.
Yeah, well, because there's a trailer for every expansion, and it definitely
Yeah.
feels a bit like that at times, for sure. But Final Fantasy 14 is a critically acclaimed game, David. So you got to remember
It is.
that.
It won an award, which we'll talk about later, which I thought was well deserved. I had my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It won 2 awards.
What was the? Oh, well, we'll go over it.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what's a release date that you're excited for?
So there's a few. There's 2 that I'm like kind of tied. The one is Diablo. Well, 3 technically. But I already kind of knew Street Fighter was in June. I won't go over more about Street Fighter because I already talked about it a few minutes ago. But yes, I am very excited for that one. The other 2 though that I'm really excited for are D4.
Yeah.
And Baldur's Gate 3, which I already bought Baldur's Gate 3, like the early access.
Right.
And I've played through the like first act of the campaign, and it's just, if you love those kind of like CRPGs, top-down tactic RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, or anything like that, it is so good. It's got co-op. I played it once myself, and then I played with my other friend online co-op as well, with him as like the main character, and I just kind of like came in to his game. And it was really fun. Yeah, I'm super excited for that one. And then Diablo 4, it looks like they're finally listening to fans and like trying to make a game that's like Diablo, not just like kill this, get this item, kill this item, get this item +1, this item +2, like, you know.
So in preparation for this podcast, I watched GameSpot 5 days ago put out a pretty in-depth gameplay footage and discussion, which I suggest you check out if you haven't.
I haven't seen theirs, but I've seen a few other people's breakdowns.
It's just the first one I found, but it looks really good. And like one of the very first things they do is they put it like side by side with 3, and they just show how much more 4 looks like an actual Diablo game, just in terms of the dullness to the color palette and the setting. And then it really, when they show them both, you really see how Diablo 3 didn't really look like a Diablo.
Diablo 3 looked like Warcraft 3, really, in my opinion.
Yeah. And when I saw the talent tree,
that looks so good.
So excited.
And they don't even show the whole thing, right? They only showed like part of it.
Now, the only issue I have is that I'm actually boycotting Blizzard games because I'm just so pissed off at the company for how it treated its employees. And that the person that's kind of in charge, Bobby Kotick's still there as of this video. And so...
But the Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft acquisition should be done around then. So
if Microsoft comes in and fires the right people, then I'll play Diablo 4. And if they don't, then I'll never play it and I'll never get to play it. But that's my decision that I've made. So...
I'll play it no matter what.
They
can murder the whole staff the day they release it. I'll still download it.
The only other notable one here for me would be Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh yeah, that one too.
I don't want to talk about it because again, bury me. I haven't beat Fallen Order yet, and I love Fallen Order. It's so good. Like every time I play it, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. The music, the settings, the characters, everything is perfect. And I just have such a busy life. I just never end up finishing it. And it's weird. I've never liked a game so much and haven't been able to finish it. Whereas like Final Fantasy VII Remake took me forever because I just kept putting it down because I got bored at certain parts. But with Star Wars, it's like, no, I loved it. My life is busy. So I don't want to hear anything about the trailer because I don't know if there's spoilers for anything for the game. But I'll get there.
I think there technically would be. But my main hope is that you can get a robe finally. Like I get why you don't get a Jedi robe in the first game. Because they don't want to be spotted as a Jedi. But anytime you turn the corner anyways, they're like, hey, stop, it's Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the fucking robe.
Die, Jedi.
Oh, am I allowed to swear? It's a podcast.
Okay, let's wrap. We're getting pretty long here, so let's wrap up by talking about some of the award winners for the Game Awards. And
Yep.
like we alluded to, Final Fantasy 14 won two things. It won Best Ongoing Game, which makes sense for an MMO, and
Yeah.
it also won Best Community Support, and that's because
Oh,
they
right.
really do listen and communicate with the community constantly. It's kind of one of their hallmarks. So that all makes sense. But then Game of the Year was this
Super obscure, small indie
yeah,
title.
indie game, Elden Ring. Have you heard of it? Uh,
Yeah, I've heard of it once or twice. I think I have it downloaded. No, I was super happy that this one won. And then I guess for our listeners, I love what's it called? Console Wars. I love console war like salt. I love crying. I love all this kind of stuff. And my favorite thing I was watching like the next day, if you go on Twitter, you go on YouTube, so many people are crying saying God of War got robbed. Elden Ring is crap. It doesn't deserve even to be in the list of best games of the year. It's not even a real game, as people are saying. So it's just, I'm loving the salt. Like, we can. I'm worried about the ocean, to be honest with you, the salinity of the ocean
yeah,
after all this. But no, I think I loved it. I've never beaten a fairly From Software game before. I did technically beat Sekiro, but I downloaded a mod that is, how it's called, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
right.
I got a mod that made it so it's basically Shadows Die unlimited times. And then I was able to beat it. It was great. But otherwise, I played this one from start to finish. I think I got like about 90 hours in. I did get help online, like you can get like people to summon into your world to help you with like bosses and
My
stuff.
students
So I
were
did
telling me
have.
about that. They were,
So
yeah,
I joined the Discord and then I got help with a few bosses, but then I helped some other people. I thought the community was great. It was super fun. Like when the game first came out, like everyone in the world is trying to like figure out the secrets and like all this kind of stuff at the same time. Um, yeah, just super original game, super, you know, deserving of winning. No offense to the God of War Ragnarok. I watched a playthrough of the second one, the new one, and it looks
yeah.
great.
It's another
But
game that I hear a lot of good things about. hmm Now, one thing I did not understand, um, obviously being a mobile gaming YouTuber, I checked out Best Mobile, and it's
I
Marvel
was going to
Snap.
ask you about this. I thought this was going to be a little segment from you, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah, so Marvel Snap, first of all, looks like an incredible game and it's doing super well and people love it. But it came out in October.
Of
I mean,
last
I
of this
guess
year,
that technically still counts, right? But it just seems kind of weird. Like it because it I think with mobile specifically, I guess is what I'll say. Mobile specifically, because they're ongoing games, like they're not really defined by a specific year necessarily. Like I think you want to see that it actually sustains a player base,
right?
and that they keep supporting it. So there's other games that could have won that. Whereas yeah, if like a Elden Ring came out this year, it qualifies for this year. It's not changing next year.
Right.
You can't. But mobile games play by different rules. So I thought they need to prove their concept a little bit longer, or they're going to be another. Oh God, what's the fighting one that came out that was really fun for a long time, and then or not for a long time, sorry, for a while, and then it just dropped right off. It was like a card game that was also a fighting game. I can't believe I'm blanking on this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name either.
Yeah, like I was like, oh man, this game's incredible. I'm gonna play it like forever, and I did not. So we just want to make sure it's not the same thing. Although Marvel Snap has Ben Brode behind it, who was the guy, one of the guys behind Hearthstone, and Hearthstone's early years were
Okay.
addictingly fun. So I'm sure Marvel Snap is gonna
I
crush it.
I think that just like they have like a cutoff of last year December until this year November, and I think irregardless of genre, they just always just
Yeah,
stick to that. So if it came out in October, then that's like the only criteria for it. So
yeah, I
I think like
understand
even
that.
last year, I think Player's Choice Game of the Year was Halo Infinite, and that came out 2 weeks before the Game Awards.
Yeah, that's bizarre to
And
me.
then now it's actually happened exactly what you're saying is people were saying, oh, this is the best shooter, everything like that. But then they've released like almost nothing since then, and now people are like nobody's playing it anymore. Although I think they just recently had like an update, but
Yeah.
most people have abandoned Halo Infinite, even though it was Player's Choice Game of the Year.
So I guess
last
like
year.
if was is Genshin Impact not available to select then because it's been out for a long time?
It came out last year, so it would have won last year if it didn't actually win last year. Because it came out
Right. So
2021 or
like
2020.
it couldn't win this year is what you're like.
No, no.
Interesting.
It
Yeah.
could win ongoing if it
Right.
if actually it wasn't one of the. I think it was one of the nominees for ongoing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It's pretty
Yeah.
insane how much money that game makes, but
Yeah.
slash Prince.
And then the only other one that I really want to talk about was the strategy game. I have no idea how the hell Mario Rabbids beat Total Warhammer 3. Like, the production value of that
Yeah.
game is just so insane. Like, and you can, if you own the first two Total Wars, Warhammers, you don't have to have them installed, you just have to own them. You can have this, so the first Total War Warhammer game was like the whole western part of the world. Then the second game was the whole central part of the world, which were also huge maps, by the
Yeah.
way. And then the third one is like the eastern and northeastern area of the world. And you can get this, there's this campaign mode which combines all three.
Wow.
And it's just like this humongous map, just like insane, almost unplayable with like how huge it is, but it's still fun. Like all this different stuff. They added like RPG stuff, like all this different stuff. Like the graphics are amazing.
See
Like
that?
no offense to Mario Rabbids, like I get it, it's fun. It's like a Mario Fire Emblem, but come on.
I've heard a lot of good things.
Now I'm salty. Now I'm salty.
I've heard a lot of good things about Mario Rabbids.
It's good. I mean, the last one was good. Like I'm not shitting on it, but just like
I think Total War is not everyone's cup of tea. I think it's more obscure. It's harder to access for like a lot of players. I think in terms
and this one's on Switch, right? Like, how many people
Yeah.
have a Switch versus how many people have a PC
and like
that
how
can
long
run.
does it take you to complete something in Total War compared to Mario and Rabbids?
That's very true.
Yeah, so it's probably just an yeah, I can imagine Total War is a better executed game, but probably just less visible to a lot of players and a lot of people. Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap it up there because we're hitting
Beautiful.
let's see here, 53 minutes, but we'll cut out 2 minutes where David disconnected.
Why do you have to bring that up?
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us. If you made it this far, that's amazing.
Yes.
You're incredible. And we'll be doing another episode before too long, hopefully just next week. So thank you so much for watching. And yeah, Dave, go on and say goodbye.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, depending on how you're doing it. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully we charmed you.
Bye-bye.